Hello, Bugaloos. I am here to review Ant-Man. I got to see it this weekend, and I just wanted to express my thoughts about the film. This is going to be a spoiler review, because I feel like really discussing it a little bit more at length than just your basic non-spoiler review. Alright, here we go. This film does a few things interesting. It, of course, stars Paul Rudd as Scott Lang and has Michael Douglas as Hank Pym. Evangel Lilly plays Hope Van Dyne. Then, of course, we have some generic guy who plays the villain. And I'm going to say right now, I thoroughly enjoyed the film for the most part. Let me get into a few things of what I liked and what I didn't like. Of course, the film is essentially, we see Scott Lang, who is down on luck. He's just getting out of prison because he tried to break in and burgle the place he had worked for. He felt like he was doing it for the right reason, but he got caught and sent to prison, and apparently his whole life fell apart. His wife is engaged to another man who is a cop, and his daughter, yeah, he's really not allowed to see her because he hasn't been able to pay child support because he can't really get a job, and he makes a mistake of lying to Baskin Robbins, which is not a smart thing to do. I like that scene, by the way, because the guy, his manager, as he's firing him, kind of respects what he did, but apparently he lied on his application, and if you've ever served any kind of time, you have to, mark that on your application. And I understand why he wanted to avoid that, but that's unfortunately how that went. So he and his friends decide to take a job that they heard from a guy, from a girl, that was easy pickings. But it turns out it was a setup. Hank Pym was actually looking for someone of his talents, actually him specifically, because he had actually observed him in the past and what he tried to do, and thought he had maybe found a possible ally, because his tech has been stolen and by Cross, and Cross is a cartoonishly evil megalomaniac. I guess his brain has been scattered or something like that because of the work they have done, which is a kind of classic Marvel mad scientist trope, really. And he's going to use it for what he feels are nefarious purposes. And so he decides to try and steal his tech back, therefore hiring Scott. And of course, when Scott tests out the Ant-Man armor that he tries out, he's totally freaked out by it, in a very cool sequence, by the way, where he runs across the street and in a wonderful, brilliant cameo runs into Garrett Morris. For those of you who don't know, this reference is awesome. Actually, the Garrett Morris cameo is better than the Stan Lee cameo, because you kind of expect the Stan Lee cameo and it was okay. The Garrett Morris one is fantastic because, for those of you who don't know, for those of you who aren't 40 like me, Garrett Morris famously played Ant-Man in a Saturday Night Live sketch, which is very funny, and I think probably the last live-action Ant-Man, if you want to get technical. So seeing him in it was brilliant, and I was hoping they'd do something to reference that, and they did. I guess my only complaint is they don't really see each other, but hey, whatever. It's just great seeing Garrett Morris in this. Anyway, Hope has him arrested, and Hank breaks him out. Therefore, the whole heist thing begins. Now, Hope feels like she's on the inside of Cross's inner circle and has the tools and the talent and know-how. She feels like she should be the one to do this. But of course, Hank is not having it, mostly because you do get to find out he had lost Jan, the Wasp, in a previous adventure, I think in '87 or something like that. And she was all he had left, so he didn't want to risk losing her. Therefore, hiring someone expendable like Scott. And Scott takes the job because he needs to start making money so we can see his daughter again, Cassie, who is, by the way, in the film. And it's kind of great that they just didn't rename or they make their own daughter character. It's Cassie from Young Avengers. She's, I think, like 8 or 7 or something like that. So we get to see her really young. We'll probably never get to see her become Stature, but it's cool that she is at least part of this universe. So, you know, that possibility is there. Anyway, they're adorable, by the way. He gives her this ugly, hideous bunny, and she loves it, and it's kind of adorable. And, okay, hijinks ensue. I don't want to go too far into this, but they go into the laboratory, steal it, but Cross is selling this stuff to Hydra, and all hell breaks loose, and then we, of course, get this really cool series of events where Ant-Man is chasing Cross, and Cross puts on the Yellow Jacket armor, which was what he was renaming the whole technology. And they fight all throughout the city in suitcases and his daughter's bedroom, which is a very cool sequence. You see it on the trailer where they're fighting on the toy train setup, which is fantastic, especially when they cut back where you just see a train fall over, which is very funny. But close up, it's really scary and, you know, just like a real fight on a train. And of course the film, I won't give too much away before it ends, but I feel like it ends pretty satisfactory. Let me just get into a few things. I liked the film overall. I really did enjoy it. Even though I do feel like some of the scripting, some of the plot points feel a little too paint by numbers. But I think the characters in the film, I think, really support this movie. Especially also the performances. All the performances are really good. I like how Paul Rudd kind of plays loose and fast with it, while Michael Douglas plays this all deadly serious, which is a nice kind of conflict there. And also, Hope Van Dyne, I believe, is an original character. I've never seen Hope before in any kind of Marvel comic. She's new. Lily actually does a rather good job playing this character who is... she's being pushed aside. She's being postponed to what she wants to do, and it's frustrating. And I like how that could have been frustrating as a viewer, because I want to see the Wasp, and you know, of course, Janet is sort of dead, I guess, but I want to see, you know, some character as the Wasp at least, and that seems to be put off. But actually, it kind of fits into this character arc where Hank kind of needs to let go of the past and realize that his daughter has she has a path she wants to take, and he's kind of letting his own past interfere with that. And so I really like the fact that you know, he's able to let go, and she is able to, like, you know, take charge of what she wants to do. Of course, they bond partly over the fact that they have daughters that they have not the best relationship with. Scott has a distance between him because of his past. He's screwed up, and he can't really get close to his daughter, and their relationship hasn't been really damaged by this just yet, but it has the potential to. And on the other hand, Hank has already damaged his relationship with his daughter for years because of his past. So that, I think that ties in pretty well. Some of the scenes dealing with the fallout of losing Janet and how it's affected the relationship, I think, are fairly well done, fairly well written, and also very well acted by Douglas and Lily. And I'm trying to think. One of the things I did have a problem with, I think, is probably the villain. Cross is remarkably boring as a villain. Now, I've seen this complaint done about a few Marvel films in the past, like Malachi in Thor 2 and Ronan in Guardians of the Galaxy. I understood that, but I felt those films were way too entertaining to really have that bother me so much. And also, hey, you know, when someone shows up dressed like Ronan, I mean, that's interesting in and of itself. But this film, I think it's a little more blatant of an issue. Cross is pretty generic as far as a corporate evil guy. And within a comic book context, too. I mean, he looks like fucking Les Luthor, for God's sakes. Yeah, he doesn't really have much besides he's evil and he wanted to prove himself and look for Hank's approval. There's really not much to the character. There is a moment where... also, I think this goes into scripting, because I never hear anybody complain about this trope. I don't know why, but maybe it's because it's not named. It needs a name. I am a little over... This happens mostly in sci-fi and in comic book films, where a villain tells his people he's going to do this thing, and one of his guys goes, I'm not sure about the thing. I'm not sure if we should do it. And then that villain kills that guy. That happens in this, and the only thing missing was a boardroom or something like that, or a big table. Yeah, the second he puts his hand on his shoulder, goes, I'll take that under advisement. It's like, oh, he's going to totally kill that guy. And he did. I was kind of rooting for him not to kill him, just so it would be a little refreshingly different, but that does happen. So there are some things that kind of like make it a little kind of cut and dry. There's almost like, this is a really good movie made by the makers of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., where it seems really too framed. I feel like maybe a different director could have like brought a little bit more vision to it to kind of like gloss over all that, so you kind of forget about it. But I think that's one of the main issues of the film. The good news is it works. The film works because of the acting, because of the characters, and it is a lot of fun. Also, of course, stick around for post-credits, because those are also really good, too. There's one for kind of getting you excited for the Captain America film, and then the scene with Hope and Hank. And that scene's pretty exciting, too, because, I think we're probably going to get Wasp. I did say this was going to be spoilers, so, hey. I guess I'm a little disappointed. I've always liked Janet a lot more than Hank, actually, ironically, and she's the one who's supposed to be dead. Although what's interesting is that she kind of shrunk herself to subatomic levels, which kind of puts her in this sort of 2001-ish Stargate thing, which Scott goes into later in the film, and he's only able to escape because of the shrinking growing weapons that he had, that I'm guessing the Wasp didn't have back in '87. So he was able to save himself. I am wondering, like, some of the verbiage that Hank talks about looking for her and stuff like that. It makes me wonder if we will see the character. We never see the actress playing her. Her face is obscured in a photograph. The one time we see the Wasp, she has a helmet on, so we can't see an actress. So I am curious, like, if the plan is maybe to have her brought out. Actually, when he went into that subatomic level, I did half expect him maybe to find her and yank her out of it, and that didn't happen. Maybe for the best. Maybe that would have been too perfect as a storytelling cliche. But I'm curious, like, if there is a plan to bring her back, which I'm curious, like, would she be like older, or would she be like sort of in suspended animation where she would be just as young as she was in '87, which would make things kind of sucky for Hank Pym, who's now like 60, 70 or something like that. Douglas is great. I love that opening scene with Peggy Carter and Howard Stark as well with Hank. Michael Douglas looks great. He almost looks like he looked like in '89. I guess that's maybe a combination of makeup and maybe visual effects, but he looked fantastic. And I like the fact that they used the actor who played Howard Stark in Iron Man 2 rather than the same actor we've seen play younger Stark after in the Agent Carter show and Captain America. I think it works better to hire the older actor, and I think him playing older, I think, is an easier jump. And of course, seeing Peggy Carter in the film is just great. She's had an interesting life, I'd say. like she's like, you know, involved with this Ant-Man stuff and Captain America and, you know, her own 40s adventure. Man, that is a life. I'm looking forward to, by the way, seeing more of her in her second season, and it'd be cool if she made any more cameos in S.H.I.E.L.D., but I don't know if that's going to happen. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to bring up. I thoroughly enjoyed it for the most part. I thought it was well worth your time, especially if you're a Marvel fan. I mean, why wouldn't you want to see this? It's really cool. I'm hoping if we get a sequel out of this, they'll be able to kind of build off of it and will improve upon it. And I do look forward to seeing Ant-Man and possibly Wasp in the next Captain America movie, which I think is going to be cool. I'm going to give it a strong 4 RAM chips out of 5, and I do think you should check it out. I think that's it for now. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter. I don't know what this is. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter, Tumblr, and my Real Manos Facebook. I think that's it for now, so push the button, Lindsay.